It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. 8 years I've been on this program, giving you my opinion of the real estate market as somebody that's been in the top 1% of agents here for the past 12 years, sold over 1,000 homes, about $1 billion worth of real estate here in Charleston. And I want to help you, the listener, become more informed about the market here, about the process, about dynamics in the market, whether you're a buyer, a seller, an investor, an agent, to help you better understand what's going on so that when it comes time for you to do something, buy, sell, or invest, you're prepared. You have reasonable expectations about what to expect. And I also spend a lot of time kind of peeling back the curtain on this industry and helping you understand from our perspective what we're doing and what you need to know when it comes time for you to hire a real estate agent. And that's going to be one of the things we talk about first today. You know, is there really a big difference between agents these days? Can they really produce different results for you? Not just for themselves, but for you too. Because a lot of what agents do are self-serving. And to an extent, that's okay. Obviously, they're in business to provide for themselves and their family and make money. But really, the focus should be on you, the client, the customer. So we're going to talk about that first. Before we do, though, if you'd like to reach out to me, if you have some questions about the market, about the value of your home, about fixing up your home before selling it, we have all kinds of great incentives and programs that we offer. Whether it be selling and buying a home here in the Charleston area, we'll pay your moving expenses. We can help you renovate your home to sell it for profit. We can offer we can make an offer on your home and just kind of bypass the whole process of selling it to a buyer. We can be the buyer for you. All kinds of different commission-based plans to fit your needs. And of course, as a buyer, a lot of focus on providing you with options that are not currently available on the market. We call that shadow inventory. So if at any point in time you'd like to reach out to me, and if it's just as something as simple as asking a question or reaching out to me because you'd like to learn more about working with us, then I invite you to give me a call or text me. That number is 843-400-8009, 843-400-8009. You can also find out more information on my team by going to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. More information on my team and who we are, what we do, what we sell, how we sell it. Find out how much your home is worth. Find out how many buyers there are for your home right now. We actually have functionality on our site to tell you, based on the people that we have in our database, how many people might be interested in your home right now. Pretty cool feature. So, and then of course you can click on the radio show tab and listen to hundreds. I don't think we're at 1,000 yet in terms of pieces of content from radio shows we've done, but I'd be surprised if we're not getting close. So listingsincharleston.com, or you can just look us up online, the Brian Beatty team. So I want to get into this conversation about whether there really is a big difference in between real estate agents as it relates to you and getting a home for a better deal or selling your home and netting more money in the process. Are agents and the value that they offer actually resulting in more dollars in your pocket or a better experience? And so if you look at some of the ways that agents try to differentiate themselves, it's, marketing, both inbound and outbound, meaning, our proactive outreach versus the reactive nature of leads that come to us through all the websites that we market on. It could be pricing, whether that be cost to you or their knowledge of how to price something effectively to create urgency and ultimately sell something for more money. It could be market knowledge. It could be transactional experience. A lot of people don't focus on this, but internal processes and support structure. Are they running their business like a business? In other words, if you were to show up at a day in their office, what does it look like? Is it everybody in shorts and flip-flops and it's chaotic, or is it organized? Is it a well-run machine? Nobody really puts any stock into that, and I'm surprised by it because it has a lot to do with the experience that you have as a buyer or seller, as an investor. In line with that, of course, is communication, which we all, real estate agents really struggle with communication. They have for a very long time. I've been licensed for 16 years. It's consistently been one of, if not the top thing that people have issues with among real estate agents. And it kind of spills over into customer service in general. And then really one of the last things, I'm sure there are more, but one of the last things that agents rely on is just likability. And that's important. You want to like the person that you're dealing with. They want to make the process fun. And, there's no such thing. And I know I've said this on this program, but there is no such thing as a stress-free real estate transaction. It is an emotional process. It's not like doing a commercial deal or buying and flipping something. When you're talking about one family moving out of a house and another family moving into a house and everything that goes into that, you would be foolish not to admit that there's some emotion wrapped up into that process. And so someone's ability to help manage that and the expectations that come along with that it's a big deal. But I think that there are a lot of agents out there that are kind of missing the mark, if I would say, with regard to their own expectations of what they can do and their perceived value, and then what the public perceives as their value. But I want to tell you a story first. I'm looking at a new car, and I'm in my car fairly often. I like driving a nice car. I'm not the Dave Ramsey guy that's going to drive around a beat up truck that I don't have any debt on. If I wanted to, buy a car and not have a car payment, then I would if I was willing to stick with one car for a long time. But I'm the kind of guy that I lease something every 3 years, and yeah, I know that that's somewhat frivolous, but I don't spend a lot of money on myself. I spend money on my car, and we've got a nice place to live, and I play golf and fish, and a lot of my money's spent on just experiences and having fun these days, and of course my kids and wife. But I was calling over to a dealership and had a conversation with the guy. I told him what I was looking for. It was a very specific kind of car. And the conversation that I had with this person just reminded me of what most people must feel like when they're talking to a random real estate agent on the phone. This person was really only interested in the appointment. And for so long, not just in real estate, not just in car sales, but in just sales in general, think about how much emphasis has been put on the close, right? Close for the appointment, close for them to buy or sell something, gain commitment from them. And don't get me wrong, that's important. I mean, if you can't close or sell anything, you're not going to make any money and you're going to be out of a job pretty soon. But my team focuses a lot on the relationship, on adding value and earning the business over time. We offer before we request, is what we always say. And so I'm having a conversation with this guy. I tell him what I'm looking for, and he says, well, why don't you come on in? We'll talk about it. And I was like, well, I mean, do you have this car, or do you have access to this car? He's like, I'm not sure. It changes every day. Why don't you just come in? I said, well, I'm calling for a reason. I want to see if you have what I want. And if you do, then I want to test drive it. I don't want to just show up and not have anything to drive that I want to buy. And it just got to the point where it's like, can we please just set an appointment? Can you please just come in? And the desperation that I heard in this person's voice was a major turnoff. He was only interested in the appointment. And I'm sure it's because his numbers are being tracked, and his sales manager wants to see a certain number of inbound calls turn into a certain number of appointments, and every conversion ratio is being tracked. And I get that, and I respect that. But I don't, especially on my team. Yes, I put emphasis, of course, on our ability to convert opportunities into business, both for ourselves and for our clients. But there's a specific way you should be doing that. And what I am finding the longer and longer that I'm in this business is that I think agents tend to do the best they can with the skills that they have. But it was obvious with this particular conversation and trying to buy a car that he just had not been taught to do anything other than the way that he had been taught at that particular dealership, which was to try and cram an appointment down my throat. And I was not interested in that. And as somebody that's been in sales basically my entire adult life, that was a turnoff for me. So anyways, I ended up, kind of out of the blue, I ended up asking him out to coffee to see if he'd be interested in learning how to sell real estate. And it was a very interesting conversation, I'll put it that way. I offered some free training for him, which, if it was something that sparked an interest in real estate, then great, let's continue the conversation. But either way, it should be something you can use in your everyday life as somebody that sells cars for a living. He didn't take me up on the free training, and that's fine. But it just, again, it got me thinking about the relationship that agents either have or don't have with the people that they're talking to on the phone. And if you think about what's going on here in Charleston, I'm going to kind of like bring this back to real estate, which is why you're listening to this program. If you think about what's going on right now, we have over 8,000 people in Charleston with real estate licenses. Over the course of the past year, a little over 5,400 people recorded a sale. So we've got 2,500-ish people that have a license but haven't sold anything. Of the 5,400 that recorded a sale, over 4,000 of them sold less than one home a month. I'm here to tell you right now, it's tough to make a living in this business selling less than a home a month. So of over 80% of the agents in our market sell less than one home a month. To be in the top 10%, you have to sell 19 homes a year, which for some, that's a big mountain to climb. But it just got me thinking about the activity that agents are putting into their business and how you as a consumer view us and our value proposition. So I'm going to take a break, but I really want to kind of drill down for a moment on communication, because that to me is just one of the biggest challenges that we have in this industry. I want to talk a little bit more about that. I want to talk about marketing. What is necessary these days? Should we just be, if you're trying to sell a home, should you be going after somebody that's just offering less commission? Or does it make sense to pay for the agent that's going to do everything in their power, so long as those things make sense and actually produce results? Does it make sense to pay more commission? That's a kind of a touchy subject. I want to approach it head on. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. And WTMA.com. And remember, if you want to reach out to me and talk more about real estate you're interested in buying, selling, or investing, then I can be reached by phone or text. That number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. Really appreciate you guys joining me this morning. We're talking about, does the agent that you hire in a market like this really matter? And obviously, we've got two different versions of an agent, right? We have somebody that helps you sell and somebody that helps you buy. Both of those agents need to possess different skill sets. But one skill set that they absolutely need, that for whatever reason is the biggest challenge in our industry, is communication. It's free. It's not hard. It just takes effort. And because so many agents struggle with this, we have a fairly negative perception among the public as to our value proposition. I think that we are below or somewhere right around used car salespeople. And so we were talking about the challenge that I think a lot of people have is that the training is lackluster among many real estate companies, many real estate teams. I told you that story about the person that I tried buying the car from that was only interested in setting an appointment with me, not listening to what I wanted or trying to help me identify property or cars that I thought might be of interest to me. He only wanted me to come into the office. I was not interested in doing that, so I didn't. And so we've got all these agents that are in the market now. We've got agents that are just being added to our market, to the Charleston Tri-County market in droves. Real estate schools are backed up. The real estate commission is backed up. There are so many people that want to get into the game that it has created major backlogs. And so now that we've got over 8,000 people in our MLS and, basically 1,400 that sell more than one home a month, there is a big difference between most agents and some agents, both in terms of experience, effectiveness, and then what they can provide you in the form of value to earn your business. And, I will say this, as somebody that has run a real estate team for almost a decade, I've been selling for 16, I've sold about $1 billion worth of real estate. When you look at the income for realtors, I think a lot of people think that real estate agents make a lot of money. The median gross income for realtors, and we don't have 2020 numbers yet, but in 2019 was $49,700, which was up from $41,800 in 2018. It says that those who function as real estate agents typically reported a median income of $35,000, which was an increase from $31,900 reported in 2018. So that's the gross. There's a little discrepancy there, but it does go on to say that realtors with 16 or more years of experience had a median gross income of $86,500 in 2019, compared to real estate agents with 2 years or less of experience that had a median gross income of $8,900. So there's a lot of people out there that are selling real estate that are struggling to pay bills and to make ends meet, which is why they have other jobs, which is why communication is likely a problem, because they can't be everywhere at all points in time, which is why a lot of these folks end up joining teams, because they need the support, they need the systems, the training, the accountability, the leads, the environment, the culture, all of those things. And it's something we have been working like crazy on for the past decade to create this profitable, enjoyable environment for agents to come and learn the business, or for those that are experienced, so that we offer what in our mind is world-class service and results to our clientele. And so the first issue here is, and I want to stay on this topic for just one more minute or two, is this issue of communication being the biggest complaint among realtors. And there's a major issue in our industry right now. People are getting tougher and tougher to get on the phone. I mean, think about the amount of calls that you get on a daily basis from spammers. I even have a separate app that I run my calls through that's supposed to catch spammers, and they do, and I still get somewhere between 6 and 10 every single day. And I know if you're listening, you're probably the same way. It's past the point of ridiculous. And I don't know what the solution is. There are a few apps out there that will basically pretend to be a person that answers the phone and basically keep that spammer on the phone for like 20 plus minutes. It's actually pretty funny. I can't remember the name of the app right now, but we're struggling with getting people on the phone. And I think it's because we're getting so many phone calls from so many people we don't know that more often than not, it's some sort of spammer. So we just don't answer the phone. Sorry. Rookie error. Had my phone ring during recording. That's awesome. Anyways, I want to just give you some insight, because we're talking about the difference between agents, right? Here are our team's numbers for the month of August. In August, we made, as a team, over 40,000 dials, outbound dials, and we had 1,300 conversations, 1,287. A conversation for us, at least, is somebody that stayed on the phone with us for more than 2 minutes. We actually have a conversation. It's not just somebody answered and said, I'm not interested, and hung up. That's 31 dials per conversation. That is very high. That number has been creeping up. We've been watching it closely. And so obviously with communication, the first issue is this is a two-way street, right? If you request information from us, or you want to see a property, or you want to know more about the process, it seems like we have to call this person 10 times before we get them on the phone. Most agents aren't going to do that. Obviously we do. I mean, we made 40,000 dials last month. But the second, and I think bigger issue, is that realtors are not adding value to people in the course of their conversations. Let's say you have an agent call you a few times, you finally answer, you have a conversation about your situation, what you're looking for, let's say you're 6 months away from buying a house. So the agent says, great. All right, well, let's stay in touch. So then the agent calls you next month and they say, hey, just checking in. I know the last time we spoke, you'd mentioned that you'd like to buy a home in about 6 months or so. So that puts us at about, 5 months away. Is that still the plan? Great. All right, well, I'll call you next month to check in again. Like, how many of those phone calls are you going to take before you're like, well, that was a waste of time? In other words, the calls agents are making are all about them, not about you. So what we as an industry need to be doing a better job of, what we coach our agents to do, what I do, what I've been doing for years, is I'm making sure that when I call somebody, I'm adding value. I'm giving them something. So if I'm going to call somebody, it's with intent, it's with purpose. If you're 6 months away from buying a house, it doesn't mean that we need to not communicate over the next 90 days until you're ready to start looking at homes. There are plenty of other things you could be doing, things you could be learning, things that you should be assessing in order to prepare for this move, that allow you to take your time with it rather than cramming everything into a 30, 60, or 90-day time frame. So I want to leave with that. We're going to talk about marketing next. How important is it for your agent to be a marketing expert in a competitive market where homes sell quickly? Is it all necessary? Or should you just choose a low-cost option, low commission brokerage to sell your home? I'm going to give you some pros and cons on that when we come back. Stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember, if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk more about working with our team, I will say this. We have a communication guarantee in our contracts, whether you're buying or selling with us, which very simply states that if we are not in touch with you at least once per week, from the time you hire us until the time you close on your property, you can fire us, no questions asked. So if you'd like to learn more about what it would be like to work with our team, we'd love the opportunity. Feel free to give me a call or text me. That number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks, for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. 1250 WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I always like to take a moment and just express gratitude, say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and have been for years. I've met some fantastic people in the course of doing this program, folks that have listened for a long time. So I want to tell you how humbled I am by that and how appreciative I am of the opportunity to whether it be just chat with you or help you in some way, shape, or form, or of course work with you and earn your business to help you buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Appreciate you guys listening. I want to stay on this topic, though, of how do you go about hiring an agent in this market when it seems like the market is so competitive? If you're going to put your home on the market, if your home is in reasonably good condition and it's priced reasonably well, at least for right now, it seems like it's going to sell, and it's going to sell pretty quickly. So how do we go about this process of choosing who to hire? How do we evaluate individual value propositions? It's a really interesting question. And I understand that it's a bit of a precarious conversation for me because obviously I sell real estate. But I'm going to give you as best I can, my unbiased opinion on how to approach this process. We'll start with the seller side. Although it's interesting because many people out there do not interview buyer agents. They just end up working with the first person that has a pulse and reasonable knowledge of a market and are responsive to their requests. Obviously, I think that you should be asking some more pointed questions so you can gain a better understanding of what you should be receiving in the form of service and value and the expectations that come along with that. And are they being held accountable to those expectations? My God, we haven't even talked about accountability, which is almost completely, it's just not there. There's hardly any of it, not just between clients and agents, but, agents to agents. Our industry doesn't do a great job of policing it, quite honestly. So not to say that it's the Wild West out there, but there's a lot that I think should go into the decision-making process of which agent to hire. And so when we talk about something like marketing as an example, could I, without doing everything that we do from a marketing perspective, because what we do is vast. I don't have time to tell you, nor would I ever tell you on air everything that we do from a marketing perspective. We would have to have an off-air conversation about that because there are plenty of agents that listen to this program. I'm not about to give away the secret sauce, but let's just play out a scenario or two. Let's just say, without doing all of the extra stuff that I do, I put a home on the MLS with professional photography. And that's it. I put a sign in the yard. That's it. Those are the two things that I do. Once it goes in the MLS, it is automatically syndicated to every single real estate agent's website, every single real estate brokerage's website, Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Redfin, and thousands of other websites. That happens automatically once the property goes into the MLS. So from an agent's perspective, if I price the home correctly and the home is in good condition and the seller has spent some time preparing the home for sale, cleaning things up, polishing it up, do we have a chance at selling the property, especially in a market like this? Yes, absolutely. Let's be real, okay? There are more buyers than there are sellers, although that is starting to change a little bit. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So can you get your home under contract and can you get it sold? Well, the answer is yes. I don't think we need to necessarily question the ability for you to sell your home because, in my opinion, the question shouldn't be, can I sell it or will it not sell if we're doing bare bones marketing? I think the answer right now is that it's going to sell. The question is, how much money can you make in going with option A versus option B? Are you taking time to compare the two? So when we sit down with somebody and we're talking about their goals and we're listening, imagine that, not just presenting, but we're listening, we're offering solutions. We have a variety of ways of going about that process. If they don't want all the bells and whistles, well, then we have a reduced commission marketing plan. Our standard marketing plan for the standard commission, I guarantee you, is more than what other people in this market are doing. And we have another plan that goes so far and far beyond. I have not sold a home with that particular commission plan in the past, I think, 3 years. That for the folks that have chosen that marketing plan, because now we're starting to get into severe analytics and predictive algorithms that tell us who we believe would be interested in buying your home. So let me explain that just a little bit further. What most agents do is reactive in nature, right? They put it in the MLS. They hope other agents that are working with buyers show the home. That happens more often than the agent representing the property also finding the buyer themselves. There's 8,000 of them and one of me. So that's obviously the most likely outcome. Of course, we should be marketing to agents as well, not just assuming that they're communicating with their buyer clients, because we already know agents aren't great at communication. But when we talk about proactive marketing, when we talk about the ability for me to walk into a property and say, I think this is the type of buyer that would be interested in a home like this. And because this particular type of buyer would be interested in it, I have the ability through a partnership that I did with a company based out of California a few years ago to say, all right, well, if we're trying to target, let's say we're trying to target a buyer that has a family that's moving to the area. Well, we already know that we can kind of whittle things down demographically to figure out who would have school-age children that make the kind of money that they need to make in order to afford a home like this. So that's kind of step one is let's take all the people in the world and let's kind of whittle it down to the people that fit that demographic, that bubble. And then within that bigger bubble, who's been searching for real estate in the Charleston area? Who has already expressed intent to buy something in this area over the past 6 months? We don't want to just focus on every single person in the world that's got kids, right? They need to be making a concerted effort to look at property in Charleston. So that's stage two, but we don't stop there. We won't stop there. We take it one step further and we say, among all of those people that have searched for real estate in Charleston, who is displaying online behavior that leads us to believe they're getting ready to make a move? Who has researched moving companies? Who has researched schools in the area in which the search originated from a different zip code? And there are all these different triggers that happen when people start to really put forth the effort to prepare for a move. And because everything we do online is tracked and then sold to marketing companies, it's already happening. It's been happening for years. It's just that we now have the ability to apply that to real estate. And so it begs the question, does it make sense to just go bare bones, put it in the MLS and not pay as much in commission? Or does it make sense to have somebody really turn up the heat from a marketing perspective, proactively identify people, and ultimately, and this is the goal, create urgency. When you create urgency, that is what gets people to fight over a property, and that's when someone, hopefully, makes an emotional reaction or decision to say, this is my third multiple offer situation. I am sick of this. You know what? Offer them this. That should be enough to get it done, and it's a significant amount above asking price. Now, will they maybe have some buyer remorse? Maybe. Is that my problem as a listing agent, someone representing a seller and their bottom line? Not really, so long as they're protected contractually. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make is the agent that you hire should have the ability, in my opinion, to offer more than just a one-size-fits-all solution. What you should be looking for is the person that can listen to your needs and understand your goals and be as committed to those goals as you are, and then have the experience, have the tools, the systems, the processes, the ability, and the track record to accomplish that for you. So quite honestly, it's a little bit of a trick question. Should you go for the low-cost, low-effort broker, or should you go for the higher-cost, maximum-effort broker? They both, in this market, in my opinion, can produce results, but your level of interaction with that agent and ultimately the experience that you have and the money that you put in your pocket is going to be different. Low cost, low effort versus, I'm just going to say standard cost, because we're doing so much more now than we were before just for our standard commission to earn people's business, because there's so many agents out there that have brothers and cousins and friends and aunts and uncles or whatever that are now selling real estate. But those are the types of things that I want you to be thinking about as you approach this process of selling your home is what's most important to me. And then interview agents. Please, please, please interview agents. Ask them tough questions. There are a lot of agents that are assuming the sale. And as a result of that, not that assuming the sale in and of itself as a tactic is necessarily a bad thing if they've got the experience and the confidence to be able to deliver results. But what I'm saying is they're taking the business for granted. All they need from you is to sign on the dotted line to give them a listing, and then the listing's going to sell itself. And then you as the client end up having a lackluster experience, which means that you're not going to work with that real estate agent again, which is interesting because if you look at stats, the overwhelming majority of people do not use the same agent twice. Why is that? So do a good job of hiring people, slow to hire, quick to fire, hold them accountable, make sure that your agreement has accountability measures in it. Like as an example, when people hire me, I have an easy exit guarantee in my agreement. It says, if at any point in time you feel like I am not doing what I said I was going to do, if I just came here and gave you a nice presentation and I'm not actually going to put in the effort to do what I presented to you, you have the right to fire me. No questions asked. People want that kind of accountability because they I think ultimately people want to trust their real estate agent. This is a big deal. It's a lot of money. But there is no trust without accountability. And that's, I think, the part that a lot of agents lack, because they just assume that you're going to deal with their sophomore behavior or their amateur hour approach to selling property, i.e. letting the market sell itself. Again, that is an option, and it can work. The question is that the right option for you? So if you'd like more information on that, if you want to learn more about our marketing incentives, some of the different things we do, whether it be a 2.4% commission or it be, free moving if you're selling and buying a home here locally, or there's a bunch of other ones there as well that we offer, depending upon your situation. We try and make things affordable and ultimately the best return on your time and investment possible when hiring a real estate agent. So if that's something I can help you with, please give me a call. Let's chat about it. Call or text. The number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And you can always send an email to me as well, brian@brianbeattyteam.com. Stick around for the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. 1250 WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, folks, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I want to end here with helping you guys better understand what's happening in the market right now. If you look online, there's a lot of conflicting information on what's happening in the market. And so, of course, it goes without mentioning, but I'm going to do it anyways because I'm on the radio. News right now is extremely politicized. It's just a very political climate. People want you to think that everything's okay. Will it be okay in the long run? I don't know. Probably not, is my guess. But the first step is just understanding that there is going to be skewed data to push an agenda depending upon the source of the information. Second to that is, you got to look at who's putting this information together. I remember very distinctly a segment I did a few years ago talking about searching for homes in the market where things had become pretty competitive, and how this one buyer went to like 50 plus open houses, and she walked into one home and there was a bottle of ketchup on the nightstand or something ridiculous like that. And she was like, and the writer of this real estate advice article, who was actually like a screenplay writer, as it turned out, was like, I knew then and there that the seller probably hadn't maintained the home and that there were probably issues that I couldn't see. And so I just left. And then she tried to tie in some sort of piece of advice to it, like be aware of the warning signs when walking through a home. It was just this, I don't know, fear mongering almost. It was ridiculous. That's really what it was. But the point I want to make is that a lot of people don't know what's going on right now. Even the people that are putting together the information don't really understand the information they're putting together. They're grabbing information from different sources. But I do want to give you an idea of what I think is going to happen. And let's just start with kind of some general macros for the market. First of all, I expect there to be some more choice in terms of homes for sale. Now, this obviously should also go without saying, but this is under the assumption that we don't have another shutdown or that something crazy doesn't happen, right? If everything remains the same, generally speaking, I do expect there to be more homes available for sale. We really, both as a nation and as a local market, bottomed out in inventory really a few months ago, back in May, I think. But if you look at, and we don't have August's numbers yet, we'll have those next week. It takes a few days for them to compile the data and make sure everything's verified. But we have had 2 consistent months of putting more homes on the market than in any other month prior to that. In fact, July was We put more homes on the market in July than in any other month in the past 10 years here locally. So we're starting to see some of that inventory ramp up a little bit, which is welcome news for buyers so that they don't have to compete with 50 other people for the same house. And I'm slightly exaggerating, but not really. I don't expect prices to drop very much. I think the rate at which prices have been going up is completely unsustainable and ultimately impacts affordability. So, with the addition of a few more choices, given the fact that prices are still going to go up, and I think interest rates are going to go up. I mean, you've got rising inflation. You've got the Federal Reserve starting to taper back their asset purchases of mortgage-backed securities. I think it's inevitable that rates will go up. By how much and when, who knows? I don't. I'm not an economist. But it seems like that's going to be the case. It just makes sense for somebody that understands things at a pretty high level. So with all that being said, I do expect for you as a buyer next year to have a little bit more normalcy in the process. In other words, you don't have to waive every contingency and basically bet the farm on this one house and just hope that it doesn't have a bunch of hidden issues. I mean, we've seen people that are waiving the appraisal contingency, waiving the financing contingency, waiving the home inspection contingency, completely unprotected in the event something goes wrong once the home is under contract and as they're getting ready to close on it. And if they've waived those contingencies to the contract, let's say that there's something that happens, something's going on underneath the house that nobody knew about, including the homeowner. And let's say it ends up being thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, which I have seen. If you don't have a financing contingency, an inspection contingency, then tough luck. You have to accept that home as is. Now, you could theoretically just walk away from it and say, hey, you can take my earnest money. That's better than buying a house that needs $30,000 worth of foundation repair that I didn't know about it or that wasn't disclosed. But then you open yourself up to a few other issues. Getting sued for specific performance, agents trying to sue you for commissions. I mean, it gets kind of crazy. So I expect that the climate next year will be a little more favorable for buyers. But what I don't want you to, what the media wants you to think and what news articles want you to think is that we are going to return to a buyer's market. The rate at which things have been favoring sellers is going to start to decelerate. I think I said this last show, but it's like we have been driving 90 miles an hour for an hour, and we're just used to going that speed. And let's say a cop pulls onto the road, and now we've got to back it down to 70, go the speed limit. It seems like we're going at a snail's pace, when in reality, we're doing the speed limit. People get used to things after they've been experienced them for a while. We're used to it being a seller's market, so anything other than that doesn't mean that we're automatically going to switch over to a buyer's market like some of these articles suggest. It just means that things are cooling off, because at the end of the day, what's been happening nationally, regionally, locally is not sustainable. Why? Because affordability is an issue. I do not expect homes to be more affordable. And that's, I think, one of the takeaways is if you're a buyer and you're trying to time this market, I do still think prices are going to go up. I don't think they're going to go up as fast as they have been, but I do still think prices are going to go up. My guess would be that interest rates are going to go up as well. The only other thing that factors into affordability is wage. So unless we have a substantial increase across the board in how much money we're making, then affordability becomes more and more of a problem, meaning people get priced out of the market, or people are just like, I'm not paying that kind of money for that. The challenge is the longer you wait until we get to some sort of correction, and really until it starts to go back to a normal and then a buyer's market, which could take years. I think it's going to be sooner than that. But, until that happens, what's the alternative? Are we renting? Are we just blowing money on rent? If you want to talk more about this process and really just understand your specific section of the market, because every market in Charleston is different, then I'd welcome that phone call. If there's anything I can do to help, give me a call, 400-8009, 400-8009, or go to listingsincharleston.com. You guys enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Broadcasting to the world on the WTMA smartphone app.
WTMA Charleston, a Cumulus station.